Americans believe they have a divine right to own guns. In some parts of the United States, 90% of the population is armed. They range from handguns to rifles to shotguns. This comes, I think, from the earlier frontier spirit of the United States, in which all people were armed against Indians and wild animals of various kinds.
Peter Arnett works for the Associated Press. For his brilliant war reporting of the Vietnam conflict, he won the coveted Pulitzer Prize. He's just completed an essay on fear in America.
Americans are increasingly afraid of crime, and in Miami, New York, and other cities, they're arming themselves with handguns, legally or illegally. But there are other middle-class Americans who have taken the law into their own hands, in the sense, and they've moved out into the countryside with weapons because they fear something more than crime. They believe that nuclear war is inevitable and that the United States and the Soviet Union will devastate themselves. But there will be some survivors, they believe, and they are working towards surviving. What concerns me most is that these reasonable Americans are becoming so concerned about their survival that they told me they would even shoot their neighbors if these people came and attempted to borrow food or supplies from them in times of emergency. So after traveling around this country and interviewing hundreds of these people, I'm concerned that Americans are increasingly growing fear about the future.
I guess they're practicing. They hang people here. That's their favorite way. Mine too.
Kurt Saxon, 49 years of age, is the self-proclaimed pope of survivalism. He actually invented the name and publishes a monthly magazine, a kind of do-it-yourself booklet of how to make your own bombs.
I came here from California because this is a nicer place. There's less crime. The people are better. Most things are cheaper here. It's certainly a prettier place, better climate, just all around much better place. Also, it's the place where my people were and still are.
Not many of them. Expose the thing there. What?
They call themselves the survivalists.
Yeah.
They are 4 million Americans, armed, stocked, trained, and ready for the failure of Western civilization.
Well, I like it. I think it's great. I'm going to have to get me a couple.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And she'll hit right what you want to aim at.
Good.
What do you aim at?
Does he have to ask? Does he have to ask? If he does, he don't know.
Anybody who wants to use something on him.
It goes against what we believe. And we believe in our God and America and anything else that you want to put in there. But we believe,
flag and apple pie.
I believe in the Bible, and I believe in the Constitution of the United States as it was originally wrote.
These are the hardcore survivalists. Saxon and his disciples live in the Ozark Mountains of Arkansas. Pretty well everybody agrees that this is the one place where the Soviets will not waste a missile. Now the survivalists are turning it into a fortress against all comers.
Okay, this is the only way in, the only way out of this cove here, and we have enough artillery to stop just about anything that would come in here.
Well, I would say by the end of 1982, everyone who is conscious will know that their lifestyle is a thing of the past. Well, many things could set it off. The changing weather patterns causing food shortages would cause riots in the cities, which would make the cities unfit to live in, and then Many of the people from the cities would leave, causing the cities to be deprived of the brains. And of course, the people who tried to get out of the cities, if they came in a flood, would cause chaos throughout the countryside. And so we could have a civil war just over that. But then, of course, you've got the European troubles, which could cause a third world war. And the economic factors overall could be a contributory force to the decline, or the rapid decline, of an already rapidly declining civilization all over the world.
Come on now, let's go. There you go. Look out, Bill. There are more guns outside the cities than in them. Some families have 20, 30 guns. That if you want a machine gun, you have to register your name. The rest of the weapons in the United States are not registered. There is no way, really, of the police knowing who has guns. In terms of numbers, it is estimated that there are 140 million rifles, shotguns, and handguns in the United States at the present time. Got some more of them.
It may not be the most sophisticated in the world, but it beats a stick in the eye, and if they have any sophisticated weapons after the first 2 or 3, we'll have it too.
A Cadillac with 50,000 rounds of ammunition. Jack Fredericks was the leader of a famous California motorcycle gang until the day he was converted to backwood Christianity and became the bodyguard of survivalist leader Kurt Saxon. As Fredericks makes clear, survivalism is more than just guns and bullets.
This is about the Anglo-Saxon Israel, proving that the Anglo-Saxon kindred people are the true Israel of the Bible. And this is basically what this great world conflict is. And we're coming to the hour of who is going to dominate the world, you see, as either the Christ or the Antichrist, either the white race or the yellow race.
Come on, what's that behind the tree there? You can't make it out. Ask him about it.
Arming for survival, as simple as shopping for food.
.25 caliber pistol, automatic. Very pretty, don't you think?
Very pretty. What can it do?
Well, it shoots. That's what it does.
You got training all over like
the gun laws here are very lenient. All you have to do to get a gun is to have the money and be a law-abiding citizen, or at least be willing to say so when you go to buy your gun. That's all it takes. The Big Bang will come by the end of '82, if not sooner.
The hour is very late, and the next 4 years will be a time of great danger for the West.
Until recently, Admiral Elmo R. Zumwalt was Commander-in-Chief of the American Navy and a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
If the West is to regain the capability to deter the Soviet Union from its aggressive ambitions, we must begin now to obtain parity in strategic nuclear weapons and in conventional military power.
Paul Warnke was America's chief negotiator at the SALT disarmament talks.
What troubles me is the fact that we appear to be losing our fear of nuclear war. Over a period of years, we've become, I think, increasingly indifferent. There are voices today that would make us feel that nuclear war is a possible option, that this is something you could fight, survive, and win, though there'd be millions of deaths on both sides. The fact of the matter is nobody knows the magnitude of the calamity that would exist if nuclear war were to break out. We must avoid it at all costs. Recently, some distinguished physicians in the United States have tried to explain the almost unimaginable horror of nuclear war. They pointed out that there aren't more than 200 intensive care units in the country that can take care of badly burned victims. There'd be more than 200 casualties in one apartment building. The alternatives, I think, are very clear. Either acting together, even with our adversaries, we can bring an end to the insane nuclear arms race, or else we'll all collude in our own destruction. As Prime Minister Nehru put it some years ago, the alternative to self-preservation is self-destruction.
This is Paul Newman speaking. These days, it's appealing to think of the world as if it were a great big movie. We'll show them how tough we are. We'll blow them off the face of this planet. Well, we are tough. We can blow them off the face of this small planet. The only trouble is, if they go, we go too.
What these Americans fear is nuclear war and the aftermath. Where do you go from simply surviving the first onslaught of nuclear weaponry So they go to distant areas, they bring in food supplies, some of them up to 10 years' supply of food, and this starts getting into thousands and thousands of dollars. They secrete themselves in the countryside and they arm themselves. It is recommended, the average family of 4 people, that they should have 12 weapons, divided into handguns, shotguns, and rifles.
To make flour, to make bread, or to crack it to make cereal.
Harold Van Burt believes he will have to live in this bunker.
The wheat comes in these cans like this here that are stored, you know, for long-term storage. Rye, barley, meat, chicken, beef, fish, chili, shrimp, mushrooms, spinach, milk, orangeade, beef-flavored rice, chicken-flavored rice, all our reloading, bullet components. We probably have, there's probably 5,000 or 6,000 rounds, maybe 10,000. Reload them. We have the equipment to reload. We like to say we have the primer, have the powders to use to put in the bullet.
Now what's these guns do?
Okay, this is a 30-30 with a scope. This is a 44 Magnum automatic. This is 30 carbine military version. And of course, this is a 30-30. This is British Enfield 303. Shotgun. 6-shot revolver, 22 Magnum.
Will they all kill?
Will they all kill?
Yes.
Definitely. Definitely. That's what they're for. They'll either be used for hunting or for eliminating predators that happen to, you know, come and want to take what we have.
Do you know how to shoot this thing?
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried already?
I tried, yes.
How do you like to live in a bunker?
A bunker?
Yeah. A place like this?
Oh, it's okay. Of course, it wouldn't be too bad, as long as you'd be protected from the bombs and things.
Harold Van Burt hopes freeze-dried food and bullets will help him survive. A most interesting experience in a California high school. As these scenes demonstrate, survival concerns a wider audience.
Okay, good morning. Since this is a leadership class, and leaders are oftentimes asked to make quick decisions, and decisions that are not always pleasant, and decisions that involve your own thoughts and the thoughts of maybe a smaller subgroup, and sometimes the thoughts and needs of a larger group, we're going to do a simulation today, and it's called Fallout Shelter. And this is the information that you're going to need. You are a member of a department in Washington, D.C. that is in charge of experimental stations in the far outposts of civilization. Suddenly, the Third World War breaks out. Bombs are dropping. Places all over the globe are being destroyed. People are heading for whatever fallout shelters are available. It seems there are 10 people who want to be in the fallout shelter, and only food, air, water, and space for 5. Now, you realize that if you make the decision, it's going to be chaotic, you're going to end up fighting. So you call your superiors and ask them for a decision. They're going to abide by your decision.
I'm a carpenter. I feel it's essential that I stay is because I build everything.
I'm the historian author, and I'm there to educate you, and you're to educate the rest of the people. Then maybe we'll remember not to make the same mistakes twice.
I'm the doctor, and I think I should be kept because if we are going to try to reproduce as much as possible.
All right, I'm the Olympic athlete, and the reason they should keep me is, one, I'm in great physical condition, I'm strong, I'm healthy, and the earth is going to have to be repopulated sometime. And with all these girls around here, I'm sure we could have something to do with that.
I'm the pregnant woman, and I believe that I should be saved because I am due in 3 months, and that's when we come out of the fallout shelter, and I can right away start reproducing, and then I'll be able to reproduce after that even.
I'm the biochemist, and I feel that I have knowledge enough to make another food source.
I'm the secretary, and I feel that I should be kept because I have the ability to follow orders.
I'm a policewoman, and I should be saved because I'm an organizer, and I've had experience in leadership, and I know about human behavior.
After it's all over, we're all going to have to get along with or without the gun that the policewoman has because there's not going to be much left that she can use it for.
I would go to extremes. I believe that my baby has a right to live. When he is born, we will be out of the fallout shelter. He will live in an environment that we are not particularly accustomed to, but he will learn to grow in that environment.
Would you be prepared to go to the extreme of killing your neighbor if your baby was in danger?
I don't know if I could kill a friend or a neighbor or not. I'm not sure. I don't think I could.
Okay, we need to come to a consensus now, a group consensus. We're going to vote. We're going to go around, and we're all going to decide who we want to stay in the shelter. We're going to take the 5 top votes, okay? How many in favor of keeping the historian and the author? Okay, how about the doctor? How about the pregnant lady? And how about the biochemist? And how about the secretary? Going to the secretary. Okay, got the pregnant lady, the carpenter, the biochemist, the Olympic athlete, and the scientist. Okay, secretary, now how do you feel? Nobody wanted to keep you. You're not going to be kept.
My first impression was that I don't want to live because everything's going to be gone. My family's going to be gone. There's going to be 5 people left, and that just doesn't, it scares me. I don't know if I would want to live in that kind of situation.
Yeah, I think it will happen. I think it's not only inevitable, well, it is inevitable. It's a matter of time.
Why does this happen? Why does this have to happen?
They've made a lot of mistakes. That may just be another one of their crummy mistakes, right?
Okay, this is a Colt 357 Magnum, probably the best defensive revolver made. Okay, when I'm out of ammunition in this one, I've always got this one as a backup. I'm a survivalist. I'm neither politically or religiously motivated, whether it be the Russians or whether it be anybody that wants to take what we have due to war, economic collapse, crime, whatever. We are going to protect ourselves. Well, if he was going to take away from me and my family, I would probably waste him.
Hundreds of thousands of people are doing this. They're fairly well off, and these people are relatively sophisticated. They are the people that are going to gun training schools and learning how to shoot. It's not just the father and the mother. There are 8- and 9-year-old children being instructed not just how to shoot a gun, but to actually shoot at a human target.
As lawyer Bill Glisson puts it, guns are the keystone of survivalist philosophy. They are the only defense against hordes of hungry citizens.
The people in this country have a right to bear arms. They have a right to protect themselves. If I could compare this country's social problem with that of abroad, I could say that the threat in this country comes from within. That abroad, such as France, Germany, and the like, all the common market countries, the threat mostly comes from without. But of course, people have an absolute right to defend themselves, and this group here, the survivalists, are furthering that objective.
Harold's Hacienda, a popular quick diner in Georgia, owned by survivalist Harold Van Vert. Harold also owns the American Survival Training Center.
In the event of a nuclear war, we're not worried about the Russians. We're worried about the survivors that would come from the city, from the big cities, such as Atlanta, Chattanooga, or anywhere in our area, and would seek refuge amongst us and want to take what we have. If these people were had the idea of coming into our area, so to speak, and take what we had, then we would eliminate them.
Welcome to the American Survival Training Center. We have prepared a 4-day course for you in which we'll teach the basic skills necessary to ensure survival during an economic collapse or a natural disaster or even war. The idea is to walk down this road, killing the bad guys, not killing the good guys, and saving the hostage. Damn it, that's stuck on right there. Down. I'm going to talk to you about radiation sickness, and just about all I can say and about all you can do is get in a shelter before it gets to you, because once you do, that's it. There's nothing you can do with it. And if you have got too big a dosage, you know, that's it.
Freeze-dried food for long-term storage is necessary for survival. The food's not only good for in the event of a disaster when you have to use it, but it's also good as a hedge against inflation because you can buy it this year and who knows what next year's prices are going to be, but the price you bought this at will be the same 10 years from now.
You're just walking straight down the road and you know something's going to happen. Watch him, come on. No telling what they're doing to your old lady right there.
Have it? Little girl.
Ticky-tacky doom. Don't
Okay.
lean on the top.
Okay.
7,
Here.
6 times.
Yeah. Hold it, please. Then.
Good. Okay.
You got about 8 more of them. Get him!
Tom DeVries is a magazine feature writer. His one contact with the survivalists has had long-lasting effects.
Well, this is my fallout shelter, as you see, this nice old wooden building. But I figure everybody ought to have one, and that's as good a one as I can find around here. The people of my generation who are now raising children were raised to believe that America really owned the world and that everything would be okay. The trouble is now, it turns out that we built our economy on a very expensive and very fragile basis. So I think people now look around for someone to blame for the fact that things aren't as good anymore and that our children may be poorer than we are. I'm not afraid of crime, if that's what you're asking. I am afraid of people who are afraid of crime. People in the cities are buying guns. People that I've known for years who are mild, peaceful people are buying automatic pistols. You can just go down the road. When I was interviewing people about survivalists, I met Reverend Gale just down the way here. Reverend Gale is a deeply frightened man, and he's teaching that fear to his congregation.
William Gale was the youngest Army colonel in World War II. He commanded special guerrilla units behind the Japanese lines. He then founded a paramilitary Christian Defense League and became a preacher. His wife, Roxanne, explains her husband's philosophy.
Our race will survive because I have great faith in God. I was raised that way, and the Bible says we will. He said that this race shall not perish from the earth. There may not be many of us left, but we will be left.
There we have a broad group of middle-class white Americans who have lost faith in the cities and have gone into the countryside, and they're arming themselves in preparation. I think what is disturbing to me is that at what point do these people become possibly active politically, or what point do they start feeling that their rights are being affected?
The national headquarters of our church has been selected in a rural area because our Bible tells us God said, get out of the city in these latter days of Jacob's trouble. We're the descendants of Jacob. He says these cities will be like Sodom and Gomorrah, and we should get out of them.
I met people who believe that they are currently outgunned by many of these groups, and this is of concern to the police, and there is no attempt at this point to disarm them.
America and Christianity and Europe are all in trouble today because the Bible prophesies that trouble. The people know that war is imminent, that time is critically short for America and possibly even for Europe. There is a danger of a nuclear war. The danger from that war is defeat, not destruction from Soviet missiles, because the major problem in Europe as well as in America is the lack of truth from the pulpits of the Christian churches by the clergy, who say that Jesus Christ is a Jew, that the Jews are God's chosen people, when in fact they are not. But the Caucasian Christians are those people, the true descendants of the Israelites of the Bible. Communism is against those Israelite people because communism is anti-Christ and all of its attack upon Christianity and the race of God. So the United States of America is in the Bible. The United States of America is that New Jerusalem that John tells about, that has a great sea on the east and a great sea on the west. It's divided by great mountains and great rivers and has all the brass in a land of milk and honey where the box trees and the fir trees grow. The only nation with the Most High Jesus Christ as its king. It'll lend to all and borrow from none. It will never be defeated in wars. So you see, we will not be defeated. For Jesus Christ told us in Matthew 10, verse 34, that I come not to bring peace, but a sword. And all of the churches are teaching that Jesus is peace, peace and love, when he said the opposite. In Luke chapter 12, verse 51, Jesus Christ tells you, his Christian people, to bring those enemies, his enemies, before him, who will not have them rule over them and slaughter them or slay them. This is the peace of Jesus Christ that is going to hit the communists when America wakes up, because America is awakening up fast to this truth.
In Venice, outside Los Angeles, people look at survival on a day-to-day basis.
I don't know, camera people kind of intimidate.
Lori, who's 27 and a former cover girl.
Man, I'm not afraid of nothing. I fear no evil, because I walked through the shadow of the valley of death. You know, and I was the baddest brother there.
I'm not afraid of nothing that walks on 2 legs, understand me, or 4 feet. My name is the Black Fires. I'm the craziest brother that ever breathed.
I'm from Bobo's magazine.
And that is, we don't give a damn about the poor.
There's fear in our community in California in general. There's fear of blacks and white confrontations. There's fear of any number of violent crimes that are occurring all the time.
Sooner than later.
There's murders and rapes, gang rapes, every day of the week happening. There's people shooting guns all over the place in California all the time. Just wildcat murders and kids on PCP. Drugs are a problem where guns are concerned because kids on drugs are using the guns and shooting up the people, you know, for robberies to get more drugs.
Lori is a talented artist. She and her 2-year-old son Ilya live outside Venice on the beach.
It's just not fun to be living in constant fear. You can't go from your house to your car without feeling like there's a potential problem.
What's that? Is that a pencil? On the book? Can you see it? What does it say on that book? Can you see the rooster too?
Are you worried?
Yeah, I am worried because I feel that we need to have food stockpile, just regular civilian people without going crazy and thinking about it all day long, but that we should have stockpiles of food and basic survival skills, some weapons, not, you know, guns and mitraillettes or anything like that, but just basic knives, hammers, nails, things to board up the doors and the windows in case of civil unrest, and just have an awareness and agreement with your friends, your close friends, to get together in case of a big problem. Talk. Yeah, Mama is talking. Mama's talking about important things, Ilya. Very important things. Because I want to make it safe for you, but I don't want to be worried all the time, all day long, either. Talk. Right. Talk. Round. 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 Well, what's this?
I want my kid to grow up in the sun and playing on the beach and playing ball and having a good time, not in a bunker.
This is the mansion of a self-made millionaire survivalist. Harvey Schmidt lives in his Hollywood Gothic castle with guards and gadgets like this heat-conserving swimming pool, which he calls his emergency water supply.
My main career thrust now is that I'm a financial consultant and I'm an investor. And I believe in many aspects of survivalism, not from the standpoint of going into the country with guns, but from the standpoint that it is very important that we preserve the balance that we have in the world, in the economy, and in the system. As far as people that choose to live in the hills and arm themselves and board themselves up in cabins, I don't particularly see that as something that I would want to do. I don't know, to me that isn't particularly realistic. I don't own a gun. I don't believe in storing gold or even owning gold itself. I don't really particularly believe in the material things of life. Bob? Yes, it's Harvey Schmidt. I'd like you to pick up 20 contracts of June gold at market immediately.
Okay, Harvey. You're going to get your gold.
There is very little confidence anymore in the economy in the United States. This was a country that, in effect, ruled the economic world for the last 30 years, but they have seen a terrible weakening of the financial system. They believe that economic collapse will mean a shortage of supplies in the stores.
The Litvaks run a survivalist food shop in North Hollywood.
Can I help you? Yes. I wanted to ask you, I notice there's many different types of food for storage.
Right. Can I order separately? Like maybe there might be some food in here I don't even like.
Yes, you can. Well, yes, you can. But the only thing is, if it costs more, you'd have to pay more. You know, when we switch cans. If you looked at the unit and didn't like it, then you could put in what food. And if it costs less, then you'd pay less.
Their supplies cater to everybody's special wishes, from freeze-dried survival food to crossbows to booklets on assassination.
And you don't have to cook it. You simply food storage at home is so important because even if there isn't a nuclear attack or a major strike or a riot or earthquake, the distribution system in the United States and I'm sure in many other countries is so delicate that any major disturbance could wipe the stores. Nancy, could you come over here for a second? This gentleman wants to know, what is the price in the Mountain House freeze-dried?
Dehydrated in the is running around $900.
That's for 12 months?
That's for a full year of supply for one person, or 6 months for two.
Right.
Also, the freeze-dried is around $900, but it's only for a 3-month food supply. So it's really...
It's about $2,700.
Correct, and it takes about the size of a washing machine space, so you could fit it underneath your bed, or you could put it in a closet. It does not require a lot of space.
What's the storage life in this? He was asking me, how long can he depend upon this as his emergency food supply?
We have been told it has a 7 to 10 year shelf life, and it will be ready for you when the emergency comes. It's not something you have to constantly check and worry if it's going to spoil.
Do you believe that there is going to be an emergency coming?
Absolutely. It could be unemployment. It could be disability. It could be the earthquake we were supposed to have yesterday. All of us are going to have some kind of emergency, so it's good to be prepared.
Are you in this primarily for your own personal financial gain?
Yes, I'm in here for the money, but I'm also a believer. I'm a doer. I'm not telling you to store food, and I'm not doing it myself. That would be dumb. That would be silly. Because it's really a nice, secure feeling to be prepared. You know, it's dumb to stand there, you know, and be caught off guard. I think it's really, you know, a secure feeling.
Well, primarily use it for hunting and foraging of food.
I don't deal in paranoia. I deal in realities. There's no question about it. I am alarmed at the threats that exist. A person cannot have peace of mind when they fear the possible threats. So it is important that all of us, not just survivalists, consider the possibilities that what might be happening in this world might affect each one of us. So if just the survivalists prepare themselves, it isn't sufficient. It's important that everyone be concerned that they have something to fall back on in case of emergency.
Seven doctors, 5 real estate agents, several restaurateurs, and 1 housewife, altogether 47 more or less worried people, will spend the next week on Gunsight Ranch. It's a $400 course on how to eliminate possible enemies and survive yourself.
Presentation.
Their instructor is Jeff Cooper, Colonel, U.S. Marine Corps, retired, better known as the fastest gun in the West.
Now, however, when you get used to this, you'll get in the habit of placing your feet to take care of the direction. 2 hands together. We'll try to catch you later in the week with people who start hauling the pistol out and then producing the left hand. That wastes time. When your right hand moves, your left hand moves. The pistol is an extension of my forearm, both in this plane and in this plane. My finger is on the trigger, my thumb is on the safety. Got 1, 2, 3, safety off. Hands together, pressure, and squeeze.
For 5 years now, I have been in the business of instructing citizens in the safe and correct use of their personal firearms. We seem to be doing it well because our demand is very high, and we are satisfied that the service we provide is useful and needed. The question is, do I train people to kill? The purpose of defensive marksmanship is saving the life of the person who is protecting himself. If that act results in the demise of the criminal, so be it. There's a great deal of crime in the cities. It's not a good situation, and no one is proud of it. It's much worse than it was when I was a boy. All right?
5! A restaurateur. And you? Contract, a real estate owner.
Distributor of major appliances.
Current student.
Why do you do it?
To learn how to protect yourself decently.
Are you afraid something might happen?
I know it would happen.
Rest. Have we got a good grip?
Yes, there's fear in America because the judges let criminals go. And
What do you do it?
Currently, no reason. For the future is my main concern.
You think you'll ever kill somebody with this thing?
You really don't want to, but if the situation does come, you'll try to stop them.
if I had to, I would. However, obviously you don't want to, and you don't shoot to kill somebody. You shoot to stop whatever action they're taking to harm you.
What about you?
Same as Don. I wouldn't want to, but if I had to, I would.
I'm a physician from Seattle, Washington.
And you?
I'm a physician from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Do you feel there's fear in America?
Yes.
There's just too much of this terrible thing going on in the United States. It used to be a free, happy, working country. Now we have groups that are just out to get the average man, it would appear. And I, for one, knowing that the police may not be around when I may need them, would like to be prepared.
Better than my right.
Okay.
Now look down at your hand, guys, before you move again. Is your pistol a prolongation of your forearm?
A lot of people who are afraid of burglaries and robberies and this type of thing in America today. And as a result, I'm learning to shoot for self-defense. I think that it's a good idea for everybody to know how to protect themselves should they have to.
At 3, check your angle between your barrel and your hand. You see this? You've got no pressure in there. It's got to be the same. That's it. Look. All right, hands together. Now, you're not up. Your hands are together. Remember, no pressure yet. Now, tighten up here. There. No, there. That's it. Now, look at this arm. See? There's no pressure yet.
1, 2.
We expect a student at the end of his training to be able to put 2 shots in the center of a man's chest at 7 meters, starting with his hands free of the weapon. Most students achieve that standard. I don't think that guns are the issue. I think people are the problem. I think people do not commit crimes with instruments. They commit them in their head, and the instrument they use is irrelevant.
Concentrate on the sight and then press, okay? And here you know what you did. You wrenched it over, okay?
Pretty good. I'm shooting a lot better. I'm getting more relaxed.
Well, I shot too low. Might have killed somebody, but I shot too low.
Nobody, you know which one that was? Yeah. Obviously, no one survives. We all die in the end. The question is, what sort of peril is one prepared to meet?
As long as you know you did that.
Linda Romano writes television plays. She has never left New York, and she's not about to do so now.
If someone bombs this country, they're going to bomb this city. But then I won't survive that. And I guess I suppose I don't want to either. I'd prefer to go in a bright white flash. I love New York. I can't imagine living anywhere else. It's a great city. It's hectic, it's full of people, but it's what I thrive off of, the energy of this place. The life. I can go anywhere, see interesting people, do interesting things. I can go to museums, galleries, shopping. No, it's a fabulous place. If people like me leave cities like this, society breaks down. That to me would be frightening. I'm having a wonderful time.
What do you think of drinking wine in a plastic? Contemporary.
city at night is a much different place. It's frightening. It's frightening to go home alone, if you have to do that. Things seem dangerous at night. I don't know, I listen for footsteps behind me when I go home. I try to think if somebody's walking too fast. I worry what I'll do next if it is someone who's coming behind me and wants to attack me. That's on my mind all the time. You have to be a kind of survivor on the city streets.
Elsa, would you turn off the television, dear?
$10,000 in cash.
The holiday is over. People come home and lock themselves in their apartments. Many Americans feel that it's just too risky to go out in the evenings now. The crime rates are getting higher in many cities. But in the backwoods of the nation, the survivalists are planning for their great new societies of the future.
Yeah, that's nice. That's about it. That's the way it is.
Ah, Kurt,
Yeah.
goodness me.
Fantastic.
Hi, Kurt. I'm a hugger.
I kiss you, but you're not my type.
There you go.
Fantastic. Oh, Kurt, this is something. Yes, it is something.
Really elegant, my dear.
Oh, I know you appreciate it.
What would you do if you were president? What was that one there where they dug it up years ago in the front of Life magazine? They had civil.
Administration official acknowledged in
Where was that great battle on the front of that Life magazine where they dug up the bones of 1 million men? What am I trying to say?
What country was it in?
Soviet military activity along Poland.
Perish in all of these no-win wars, and these wars are nothing but to make the white man become extinct. I believe America was established as a Christian nation. Now, please don't get me wrong. I'm not shoving Christianity per se down anybody's throats, because as far as I'm concerned, you can burn all these damnable churches, because they, just like our politicians, they have sold us out, you see. But I believe that it's the survival of the race worldwide, that the Anglo-Saxon, Celtic, Adamic, Nordic, Aryan kindred people, that this is our last ditch, because we got our lily white ass against the wall and we got nowhere else to go.
Yes, you're absolutely right. There is fear in America.
I mean, everybody's trying to flee the cities. Why do you think that's happening, Kurt?
Well, no, I don't worry about the Russians or any other kind of invasion. What I'm worried about is the millions of trashy humans in the cities that have polluted world civilization. When things get too bad for them to live in the cities, that they're going to come out here, see, and that's where I'm going to make my stand, and I'll keep them out no matter what it takes. I have no compassion for them whatever, because they have no compassion for each other. They certainly have no compassion for me. I would kill anyone who threatens my existence or who threatens my interests even.
Well, you know, Kurt, my opinion, because this the greatest drive that man has is self-preservation.
The perfect way would be for them all to be wiped out when the cities go up in smoke. But if they are brought here by the government, then we'll have no recourse but to wipe them out.
That's exactly right. There is fear in America.
The Earth's surplus population is long overdue for a culling. And when this happens, a nuclear holocaust would be a blessing for all the survivors. And then we can start anew and build a new age. It'll be another renaissance. It'll be just wonderful. We could have a utopia.
ever leave New York? Never.
No. No, I'd never leave it. I would never go anyplace else. This is the city that I love and the city that I will probably die in.
I love New York, and everybody walking on Fifth Avenue today, and all of those who would like to walk on Fifth Avenue, love New York.
The survivalists are a small but fast-growing minority in the United States. For the vast majority of Americans, there may be concern for the future, but for them, surviving in America is living in America.
Let's go.
I love New York. It's the best place. The Big Apple is it. That's what it's all about. What about you? Do you love New York? Tell them. Yeah. Yeah.
Never leave it?
Never. This is the place. It's the only place to be.
I love New York.
It's a wonderful place. Everyone can do anything.
Did you ever leave it?
Only for a short visit.
Yeah.
You get homesick once you live here.
I tried leaving. Didn't work.
First I was afraid, I was petrified. Kept thinking I could never live without you by my side. But then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong. And I grew strong, and I learned